Hello, welcome to Jessie at Home. In this video I'm going to show you the basics of how to do the Nettie Super Simple Stitch working in rows. I have several patterns that are Nettie Super Simple, this, that, or the other thing, and some of them are worked in rounds, some of them are worked in rows. This video is going to show you how to do that stitch worked in rows. Some of my numbers might be slightly different than yours. I might have you chain 7, skip 7. The pattern might have you chain 5, skip 5. That's fine. Follow your pattern. The technique will be the same. It's just some of your numbers might be a little bit different depending on which one of the patterns in this series you're actually following along with. Alright, so for the tutorial I am using Lion Brand Heartland yarn. I am using a 7 crochet hook, which is 4.5 millimeter. The yarn and the hook that you use may vary from pattern to pattern, and that is fine. The important thing here is that your stitches, your chain stitches, they're consistent. They're of an even size, and that you're able to insert your hook into them again to make your slip stitches, as you'll see need to be done as we make this. Now, for most of these patterns that are worked in rows, I actually end at the beginning and end of each row and leave a little tail to make a tassel, to make fringe at the end, such as a fringe scarf. You can do that. You can kind of ignore the cut and return and start again and just go back and forth in rows if that floats your boat. If you leave the fringe, some yarns you might want to tie a little knot at the end of the fringe, so that the yarn itself doesn't start to fray, depending on the yarn that you're using, whatever works for you. So to begin, we start off with, of course, the slip knot on our hook. And for this pattern, I'm going to go with one that's done with a multiple of 8, which means I need a multiple of 8 plus 5. Because with the Nettie super simple patterns that are worked in the rows, you need a multiple of an even number plus half of that even number plus 1. So multiple of 8 plus half of that is 4 plus 1 more is 5. So multiple of 8 plus 5. So we're going to go with 8 times 3 is 24 plus 5 is 29. We're going to start off with a chain of 29. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 28, 29. And now we're going to end this off. To end this off, you want to actually kind of make one more chain, but pull your yarn all the way through. You need to clip it. I happen to have this piece clipped already. You would cut it and then pull it all the way through. And now you can either wait a minute to tighten it, or if you want to tighten it now, you can. But if you're going to tighten it now, you want to pinch the last chain that you made. This loop right here is part of your knot. This loop right here is your last chain. You don't want to accidentally tighten that. So give it a good pinch and then just tighten this. And you can pull it even tighter later if you need to, but you don't want to do that until after you've worked into this stitch, because you don't want to accidentally make that stitch disappear when you pull things too tight. So now this is the last stitch that we worked. I'm going to take it and put it right here in front of me because that's the stitch we're going to work into next. For row 2, again, you start off with a slip knot, and you're going to slip stitch into the last chain that you made. So this is now, since we essentially turned, you're slip stitching into this first chain. Now we chain 3, skip 3, slip stitch into the next. So let's do that one at a time. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 3, we slipped into that one, so we're skipping 1, 2, 3, and we're slip stitching into the next stitch. Okay, now from here to the end of the row, we're chain 7, skip 7, slip stitch into the next. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, skip 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, slip stitch into the next. And chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, skip 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, slip stitch into the next. chain 7, skip 7, slip stitch into the next, which should be the last stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, slip stitch into the next, which is the last one. So you didn't make a mistake. Yay! Okay, so let's get that in there. And then now you're going to fasten this row off. So get yourself a long tail. And again, you're essentially going to make a chain, but just pull the loop all the way through and tighten it up without accidentally tightening up the last stitch that you made. And now again, you're going to turn this around. So this last stitch you just made is in front of you and at the top. That's how I keep track of where I'm working next. In front of me and at the top. So we're going to do one more row, because all of these rows now, row 2, once we did row 2, every single row is worked the same way as row 2. So I'm going to do it once more, just, you know, for giggles and all. So make another slip knot. Get that loop on your hook. Pick this up, and this little bit right here was our knot. So this is what we're chaining into. We're slipping into the last chain that we made from the previous row. Slip stitch into that. Chain 3, skip 3. 1, 2, 3. Skip 3. Slip stitch into the next stitch. And then from here to the end of the row, we chain 7, skip 7, slip stitch into the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and slip into this one. And why do I feel like I did something wrong? Maybe I counted wrong? Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, I must have miscounted there. See, sometimes you can look at it and you say, that's not really centered. I'll show you what I mean by centered once we get this row done. You can look at it and you can just tell that you made a mistake sometimes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and go into the next one. Of course, if you get to the end and your last stitch isn't in the last stitch, then you know there was a mistake somewhere as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's the last stitch. And again, you clip, yarn over, pull through, tighten it up, and you're going to keep doing that to make this pattern in rows. Now, you can see that you're making a net. Alright, so each of these slip stitches are in the center of the chain 7s before. So that's what happened was when I did this one, I was over here and I could tell that I was a little bit off center, and so I realized I must have miscounted. Okay, so you can see it starts off with a half size one, and then you have your full loops. And then this time we would turn this over, right? Keeping this at the top. And we would have a half size one, which would go to the center of this, and then fulls. And you do that all the way across. Now, a couple little tips. If you really want this to grow longer and you don't want it to be constricted at the sides like this, you can actually start that first stitch with like a single crochet or half double crochet, and that would give you a little bit more opening on the edge. But of course, if you make this really wide, it does, once you pull it wide, the ends staying shut like this might be a look that you like. It kind of gives it an eye, you know, it opens up in the center but then stays tight at the side. You know, whatever really floats your boat there and makes you happy is good. So that's how you do the Nettie super simple stitch in rows. Thank you. I hope that helped you out. Have a nice day.